Good afternoon. It is 3:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We want to be considerate of your time. We do appreciate you being here with us on 3:30, the day after Labor Day. We hope all of you had a great holiday, and again, we thank you for being with us. I'm going to continue to put the bit.ly in the chat. So if you have been in here for quite a while, I apologize that your chat keeps looking the same with the bit.ly. Anytime someone new joins in, they cannot see the previous chat, so that's why we keep putting it in there. Just so you know, in the bit.ly, that is a 0 for Schoolnet Top 10 Things 23, so that is the number 0. Wanted to let you know that. So let's get started. This is September 5th session for Top 10 Things You Need to Know in Schoolnet. This was actually an idea that was given to us through feedback of our webinars. So please know when we ask for feedback, we do take all of your thoughts into consideration. And this was a session that was suggested. So here we are having our top 10 things. Let's see. There we go. So my name is Rebecca Stokes. I am the product manager for NCDPI for Schoolnet. You can see my email address right there. And we also are very fortunate to have Catherine Simone with us. Catherine, would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, she is muted. Let's see, Catherine, if I can unmute you. If not, then I'll just tell them who you are.
Okay. Is that
There we
better?
go. Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. Having technical difficulties.
There we go. Thank you, Catherine. And Catherine is the implementation manager for Pearson. We are very fortunate to have her on our team. She is always so willing to help and always so kind with her responses, especially with me. And you also have her email address right there as well. Just a few things before we dive into our top 10 things. You do get CEU credit for being in today's live session. You do get 0.1 CEUs, and just remember that you have to have 10 hours to equate to 1 CEU. We will send you a certificate, and your district decides what type of credit it is. So it is not designated as general or DLC or any of the other categories. Your district decides what that will be. So it just varies from district to district. But you will receive that at the end of today's session. You have to be in the live webinar, and we will send you a link at the end of this session. And you'll be able to fill out that feedback, and then a certificate will be emailed to you. If you have friends that happen to watch the recording of this, just let them know that we cannot give credit for watching the recorded webinars, only if you are in the live session with us. So we appreciate you guys being with us. Just a few housekeeping. It will not allow you to unmute, so please take advantage of the chat. Catherine and I are both going to be monitoring that, and we make sure to unmute and answer all of the questions in the chat. So please interact with us during the webinar, because a question you have might be something that someone else has as well. You do have the options of sending it to everyone, or you can send it to the host if you prefer for it to just be a message to Catherine or myself. So just know that you do have that option as well. And like we stated earlier, we thank you so much for being here with us. I am going to cut my camera just to try and save on some of the bandwidth with all of the different sharing I've got going on, but I will be back at the end. So let me go here. There we go. Okay. All right, so the top 10 things that we have compiled in this presentation are pretty much the most common questions that we get from either teachers in the field or from the Schoolnet administrators. So hopefully one of these things you are learning something new. And the first thing we're going to talk about is accommodations for students. And everything is in this slide deck, but I am going to be hopping over to the training site just to show you a live view of what we're talking about. But just know that step by step, all the pictures are located within this slide deck. So let me hop out of here and go here. So I am logged in as a teacher. If you are someone with leadership, you actually have a little bit of a different view, and we'll talk about that for just a second. But if you are logged into your Schoolnet instance as a teacher, you can scroll down And if I know that I have a student in my math class that has an IEP that requires accommodations, I can come to my choose a section widget right here and select whichever class it is that I know that student is in. So let's say they were in my math class. And then I can continue scrolling all the way down to the classroom profile. So this is going to list all of the students that are within that course. And let's just say this student right here is the one that has the accommodations. So I'm going to click on the student because anything blue in Schoolnet is hyperlinked. So just kind of keep that information, knowing that anything blue, you're going to click on it and it'll take you somewhere else. So if when I click, it's going to load and it's going to pull up the student's profile. Now, all of this is synced from PowerSchool, so you can trust that all of this information is synced over from their account in PowerSchool, so you have access to all of the information you do in their profile as, for PowerSchool as well. But we want to come all the way over to the end to this test nav PNP. So when I click here, this is actually going to show me the accommodation settings for the student. So a lot of times teachers or leadership will create an assessment and they'll turn on accommodations for the test. And you do have to do that. But you also have to turn on accommodations within the student's profile because if you only do it on the test, you're just telling Schoolnet, I have a student that has accommodations, but you have to put it in their profile here as well to let Schoolnet know that this is the student that actually needs those accommodations. So if this student needed text to speech, I could change the default voice or the speed. If they needed line reader, I can check whatever their accommodations are here. I can also do calculators or extra testing time, whatever it is, and I'm going to click save. Now, one thing to remember is this only has to be done once per year, but it does have to be yearly because when PowerSchool does their EOI process over the summer, it's almost like they're wiping out this information and the students come in at the beginning of the next school year, so their accommodations have to be re-entered. Anybody that has access to the student can do this. So anyone that the student goes to their course throughout the day has access to turn on accommodations, okay? Some districts have someone in leadership that does it for teachers. Other districts, the teachers are responsible. So I would check to see with your principal or if you have a EC teacher at your school or curriculum director, any of those things just to check what your school might do or what your district does. But I'm going to click save. And this is going to save the accommodations for that student. I am going to hop over back here really quick just to show that if you are leadership, then you actually have a search bar at the top of your screen where you can type in the student's name and get to their profile as well. Teachers do not have the search bar, they have the profile, and leadership only has the search bar. They don't have the teacher profile. So it's kind of one view for each of you, but very simple to get to the student's profile. And the next thing that you want to remember is that when you are creating your test, you want to make sure that you check the text to speech or line reader, magnifier, whatever it is, on the actual test creation as well, so that the student does receive that accommodation. Okay. All right. So that is our first top 10 things. Catherine, would you like to talk about our item bank filters?
Sure. Oh, is that echoing?
It is.
One of. Can you unmute the other account for me?
Sure. And it's okay, Catherine. I don't mind going ahead and just talking about all of them. It's fine. You're good. You're good. Just put in the chat anything. Yes, Julie. Yep. She's logged in twice because she was having some technical issues, so it's causing that that backup. It's fine. You're good. You are here and you can offer any suggestions through the chat, so you're good. All right, so we're going to talk about item bank filters and just the options that you have. A lot of times, teachers don't realize all of the filters that you have. So we just wanted to go over those really quick. Let me go back here. Okay, if I'm on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to assessments, and I'm just going to go to the item banks just to show you the filters. But anytime you're adding questions to an assessment, you would be able to see these same filters. So I'll just go right here. Okay, so this is going to be a familiar screen. I'm going to go to my filters. We're used to selecting our subject and our grade level. That is a little zoomed in. Oh, 175. I don't remember having it that much. But we're used to doing our subject, grade level, and standards. But a lot of times people don't realize that if you come all the way down here to where it says all filters, you actually have a lot more areas to filter your questions down through. So not only can you filter by the type of item, you can see your print and online and your online only. But you also can continue scrolling down and you can sort by your author difficulty, your blooms, your cognitive level, your DOK. So if you're trying to make an assessment that has multiple DOKs, then you could add some that have maybe a level 1 and then come here and filter to your level 2 or your level 3, just so you can have a well-rounded assessment. Let's see. Also, let's scroll back up here real quick. If you are ELA and you check the box to show items that are linked to the passage, you get a lot of filters where you can filter by the type of passage, the subject, the grade level. If you really know the author or the publisher, you could do that as well. But one filter that a lot of teachers like to use is this one right here, this date added. So on your Schoolnet splash page, we put the dates of new content uploads so that if you are someone that uses Schoolnet quite frequently and you only want to see the new questions, then you could come here and put the date added and filter it only by the new questions. So then you are excluding all the ones from the previous upload or the previous year, and you're only seeing the questions that were newly uploaded. And again, that's on your splash page.
Rebecca, I
Oh, hi.
fixed my computer. I don't have an echo now. And if you're okay with me doing a quick share, I brought up the document to share.
Absolutely, because I was about to go to it. So
Sorry,
share
I
away.
have it and it's ready to go. And here we go. So sorry about my technical difficulties, everyone, but can you see my screen, the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we went back to April 10, 2022. As we add new items, there's usually 2 updates a year. They will be closer to the course names. And you can see the item counts by the course names. Okay, that's one. Here are the search dates. Okay, so the last time we uploaded items per the filter that Rebecca is using, you would click on July 6th, 2023 if you wanted to see the latest, greatest items. Okay. And I forget, I think I jumped in late, so I'm not sure where you left off there.
No. Yep, I was just showing them all the filters that they had, and that was the last one that I was going to talk about. So,
and I am going to put the link to that document in the chat for you. Okay.
Perfect. And
so that's the item counts. And there is one other document, which is the all of the items that we have in Schoolnet. And I'll also put that link in the chat for you. Okay.
perfect. Thank you. I'm going to take this back from you if you don't mind.
Sure.
I just want to show you because while Catherine is putting those links in the chat, I do want you to know that when you log into Schoolnet and you are on your splash page, you'll of course see the webinar links like to the session today. But if you keep scrolling down, this is the content that she was just sharing. So that is always updated every time we get new content. The new numbers and dates will be posted on this document here. And the item counts that she was referring to, that document is going to be here as well. And that's going to give you all of the item types for every item bank that we have. So just want you to know that you do have those resources on your splash page. So you don't have to worry about saving them just from this chat. They are located there for you at any time. Okay. All right. Let me check here because when I went over, it went away. So I always like to just check to make sure we don't have anything in the chat, and we don't. So, all right, we will keep moving on. Okay. Let's see here because, yeah, we got to get through the total counts link. Okay. Let's see. Are you on your splash page? Okay. So we're on our, so if you scroll down underneath the webinars,
I just
should
posted the total
say-
item counts link. Sorry, it's right
Perfect.
there
Oh,
in the
yeah.
chat. I was,
Yep.
I wanted to make sure I had the right one, so I opened that up separately. So the first one is just DPI items by date loaded. And then the second one is all of the item banks and the counts by item type. Okay.
I'm just checking because I know I have it in leadership. I was checking to see if I have it. So I don't have it on the staff. So if you are listed as staff, that might be why you don't see it, but I'll make sure to get that updated on there as well because I had it on teacher and leadership. So I didn't realize that I did not have it on staff. So if that is what your role is in Schoolnet, I apologize that it's not there, but I will get it there in just a minute. Oh, perfect. That answers my question. I'm so sorry that I didn't have it on staff, but I will make sure that you have it by the end of this session. It'll be on your splash page.
And Rebecca, while you're still on item filters, I just want to point out one quick screen.
Okay.
If in the training site, if you don't mind me just sharing it real quick.
I surely don't.
Does she want to share it? That's fine. It's up to you.
I'll say I'm in there, so I don't mind.
Okay, so on the left-hand navigation, back one filter.
Sorry.
Go back one. It's okay. So let's just say you're pulling from all item banks in this scenario, and you see subject, grade level, standards. If you scroll down a little bit below publisher, you see question language. And this is a frequently asked question. So if you click the drop down and you click English, then you will be assured that you will not have Spanish items in your search. Okay. I just wanted to point that extra filter out there.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. And of course, I didn't read through like every single filter just because of time, but just know that you do have lots of filters to explore just to filter out your questions to get them exactly what you want them to look like. So we encourage you to take a few minutes and look over all those filter options. All right, let's see. Okay, so since we're at the beginning of the year, one thing we want to talk about is how you can copy your tests from a previous year and use them for this upcoming school year. So let me go here. So you will need to find the test. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing that we want to do. Let me.
Do you want me to share and do this one for you since I messed up the last one?
You did not, but sure.
Okay, let me share my screen. Here we go. Taking back the screen. Okay. So I did a quick shortcut here on your left navigation bar. You're going to go to assessments. If you were the creator of the test, then you can just go to assessment dashboard and you are going to see a list of all your tests here. If you are leadership and someone else created the test last year, you can use the find feature here and then use the filters of subject and grade level. But if I am bringing this test from, so here's a poetry test from 2 years ago, I would click on it and copy, down arrow to the right, copy. It always puts the word copy in the title. I like to change this and put the, no, we're in the next year already, aren't we? Jeez, 22, 23, 24. I like to change the year and then click generate test at the bottom. Okay. Like I said, if you are a teacher and it's your test from last year, you can easily locate them under the assessment dashboard. If you're leadership, click the find button. And then if you don't know the name or the ID of the test, you can search by subject, grade level, year the previous year, and then hit go and pick a test. Okay.
And one thing I want to clarify with you, Catherine, because this came up in a work ticket last week. Anything that you list as my classroom will follow your account as long as you're within the same district.
Correct.
If you label it as school benchmark, if you are someone that has rights to create a school benchmark and you move from one school to the other, it stays with the school. It does not follow you. Is that correct?
The test, let me make sure I heard the first part. The tests don't follow you to a different district.
Correct. But
Right.
if you move from one school to another and you made a school assessment, does it stay with your old school or will that follow you to your new school as well?
If you're within the same district, you will still have access to the test. But if
Okay,
you move outside the PSU, you will lose access.
gotcha. Just wanted to clarify.
And we
And
have a
did,
question in the chat too. When you
yes,
get
I was just about to say we have a question. Are the Spanish items different questions to the English ones, or are they the translation of the English?
Well, there's a lot less Spanish items in the banks. Let's start with that. So not all English items are translated. The ones that are in the newest bank, yes, they chose some of the English items and they translated them. However, they don't have the same IDs. So I would need to think about how you would match them up. That might be a little bit difficult to identify, to find both of them in there. I mean, there's like 60,000 items to look through. You'd have to use a lot of the filters to get there. Okay. I'm new to the district, apologies, but where can I find all this information at?
Oh, I just sent them the bit.ly for today. So that one you can keep going.
Oh, so if you put the code in and you knew this is the code, did you change the year? Let me go back to this. Am I still sharing my screen? Yes. So
Yep, you are.
you have to change the filter. If the test was used in the previous year and you put the ID in, then you would need to go back to the previous year to find it.
And it's going to default to the current year. So if you know it's one from the previous years, you'll have to make sure to change it to whichever year it was.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And one thing to add, when you copy an assessment from the previous year, you can in that copy edit and add new questions. So don't think that you don't have the option to change that test. If you're looking over it and you decide that you want to change a passage or a question, you can still edit and add new questions to an assessment that you're making a copy of. So just keep that in mind as well.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Would you like to go ahead and talk about number 4, our co-author folders?
I can do that. Okay. So co-authoring, when to use this? Let's just start with a quick leadership does not need to use the co-authoring feature unless they are sharing tests for creation with teachers. Let me repeat that. Leadership has the option, okay, when they create a test, to make the test public. And we can show you that in a minute. But if you are a teacher, you can only see a test pushed out by leadership after it's scheduled. So here's the storyline. I am a teacher. Rebecca is the instructional coach. We're working on a test together for all of third grade math, and we're going to build it out together. So what we're going to do, let me go back to the home screen, is let's just say we're getting the third grade teachers together. So we are going to go to assessments. We're going to go down here to test co-authoring. And this is one scenario where I'm going to put a group of teachers together on a test. So I would create a folder. Here I'm going to say under test co-authoring, assessments, test co-authoring, create new folder. I'm going to give it a name, so I'm just going to call this third grade math. And then I just start adding users by their last name. So I'm going to put, let's see if I can get Rebecca to come up here. I'm going to pick anybody with the last name of Stokes. How about that? Pretend it's Rebecca. And then, okay. So you can see once I start typing the person's last name, I'm adding them to the folder. Once I save this, okay, now I have a folder, okay. I can see that there are 0 tests in the folder so far, okay, but there's 3 users there. So let me go back and grab one of these tests and demonstrate. I'm going to take that poetry test that I just used, okay, and this time I'm going to keep my original. Let's just say I'm going to hit copy test, and for this one, I'm going to call this my co-author one, just so I remember. Down here at the bottom, I can hit my co-author settings, enable co-author, save to a co-author folder, and there's my third grade folder populates, generate the test. Okay. Once the test generates, remember I just made a copy of it. Okay. I can, I'm going to finish editing so I can get back here. Here's my folder that I had before. Remember, assessments, test co-authoring, grade 3. That 0 just changed to a 1. Okay. And when I click on the folder name, now I see my tests. So Rebecca can click on it. She can make changes to the test. She'll click finish editing. Then I'll make changes to the test. And then if we want to schedule this out to all of third grade, someone with leadership would need to schedule it. If we just want to schedule it individually as teachers, we would click on it, make a copy, and schedule that copy to our students. Okay. But co-authoring is a useful tool for teachers to collaborate on tests. Just a couple things to remember. One, it's not a Google Doc. You can't work on it simultaneously while someone else is in the folder or in the test. 2, you need to copy it out of co-author mode. Okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I went through all those screenshots rather quickly. So your directions are there. And one other thing to remember, Rebecca and I, Amanda, if you put in a ServiceNow case, we cannot see your co-authored tests or co-authored folder unless you add us to the folder. Okay. All right. I think we have a couple new questions.
And one thing just to make note of, The reason why in the folder, Catherine said that you're going to want to make a copy is because if you were to take this test right here and move it to Test Central, you lose editing rights to it. So we advise that you make a copy so that you can keep the original for any future assessment needs for that test, and so you can still edit it. So always make a copy just in case.
Okay. And then I think that takes us.
Let's see, and I was looking at a question. How can I access a previous test that was made by a colleague that has left? Well, Patty, so if they were the creator of the test and they left the district, the test has left with them. If you had a copy of it and assigned that to your students, then you can make a copy of the one that you already had. But if it was something that they created, then it is with them, unfortunately.
So let me just ask a question, Patty. It was the person that left a teacher or leadership? Teacher. Yeah, that's tougher. If it's a My Classroom test, then we wouldn't be able to access it. If it's a school assessment or a benchmark assessment, then one of us would be able to probably locate it for you and make a copy of it so that it could be reused. But the teacher tests, they're a little bit more locked down, and we would need the specific ID of the test to locate it.
So I have another question here. So the only roles that are able to schedule assessments for an entire grade level would need leadership rights. So if you have staff rights or teacher rights, you are not able to assign it to an entire grade level. Only leadership roles have that. And
Okay,
Melissa,
Melissa.
oh, yes. Okay.
Because I'll take this one.
Okay.
I know it. So co-authoring again is only used for the creating of the test. Once a test is created, if you're referring to sharing the test passcode, if it's a My Classroom test, it it needs to be copied and given to another teacher. Giving them the passcode, they will not be the test ID. They will not be able to find it. And I caution this, highly, highly caution against this. It doesn't work in the system. It may let you do it, but it doesn't work. If one teacher schedules a My Classroom test and takes the passcode and gives it to another teacher for her students to use the passcode, if the teacher didn't say allow only assigned students to take the test, yes, students would be able to log in, but the data would be in limbo. It would never be found. So taking the test, if the teacher didn't lock down the assignment piece of it, they would there just would be no results for the test, even though the students submitted them.
And they
And
wouldn't have access to the Proctor dashboard either.
nothing. So what I'm referring to about locking down the test, so it's, where is that button? Allow only assigned students to take the test. So this is in the scheduling and assigning piece of it. So if someone did not check this button, then I could give the password and anybody could take it. And why don't we leave this button checked? Because sometimes students transfer in, they weren't there at the time of the assessment, or I want to add another class to it, or if this is assigned by course, lots of reasons why someone wouldn't check it. but we definitely don't want to be exchanging passcodes if it's a My Classroom test. If it's a state assessment, it's not going to matter, or district or school level, it won't matter. But Melissa, to your point, co-authoring is only for the creation of the test, not for the delivery of the test. Okay, hope that helps. Was it, so Kelly, was the test a school level assessment or a shared classroom assessment? Because then it would work. Yeah, school level, it doesn't matter. Anything above a My Classroom, you can share passcodes because it's scheduled by the course, not by the teacher in the section.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine.
And again, co-authoring is only needed for My Classroom tests, and for teachers to participate. Okay. I lost my place in the.
You're good. We're on number 5. So I'm going to take back over.
Okay.
We have anyone in middle or upper grades math, we are going to talk about embedding Desmos calculators. Because I know that a lot of times teachers will have students have the test in one window and then a Desmos calculator open in another tab, which of course is completely fine. But if you ever use the secure tester, that they would not be able to open another tab for a Desmos calculator. So I want to show you how you can embed a Desmos calculator within a question. It's very simple, and on slide 32 is actually the link for embedding Desmos, and we also have that on our Schoolnet resources as well. So I'm going to pull that up, and then I'm going to go to the training site. Okay. Oops, didn't mean to click that. All right, so I'm just going to go like I am making this test. Okay, so let me copy this test so I can edit the questions. And I know Catherine told me to take out copy 3, but for time, I am not going to. I'm sorry, Catherine.
No worries.
Okay, so I'm going to my test and I'm going to click edit items. Okay, so this is an open response. So clearly I would not in reality need to put a Desmos calculator on this question. However, we're going to, just so you can see what it is that I would need to do. Okay, so actually, let me add an actual math question real quick. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to click from item bank. All right, let's just say this one. Okay. All right, so I'll just ignore that I'm deleting this because I accidentally got click happy and clicked the wrong thing. Okay, so this is my multiple choice question and I want to embed a Desmos calculator. So the first thing I want to do is I want to click unlink right here because I want to embed this Desmos calculator and I want to save this question so that any other time I use this question on future assessments, it already has the Desmos calculator in it. So when I click unlink, this becomes my copy of the question. Okay, so I'm going to click unlink and now it is mine. I'm not going to change the type because I don't recommend unlinking. If you're changing the type, I recommend duplicating, but that's a different issue for a different webinar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my question. And when I click in the box for my question, my rich content editor comes up. I'm going to hit enter down here. And right beside the spell check is this source code option right here. So I'm going to click in here. And all of this code that I do not understand comes up. And that's okay because you do not have to understand what all of this code is saying. All you have to do is go to the end of all of this code that's already there. I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to go to my quick reference document, which was right here. And let's say I want a scientific calculator. I'm going to copy everything after this colon. Don't forget that first line where it says iframe. And I'm just going to simply copy. I'm going to come here and I'm going to paste and I'm going to click save. And now I have a Desmos calculator on my question. And then I can do that for however many questions I have. Let me delete this one real quick because it's not going to let me save it. So I've got my question. We're going to pretend that I have 10 questions here. Save. So then once I finalize my test, because I'm ready to give this to my students, notice at the end of my questions, there's nothing here. But once I click finalize test, I now have the option to add all the questions that I unlinked and change to an item bank all at once. So then I can click add all items to bank and I can have a bank of Desmos questions. I can create a new bank that is titled Desmos questions, and I can save all of the ones that I just embedded a Desmos onto to that bank for future use. Okay, so it is time consuming to just put them in all of the ones that you want, but it's not time consuming as a process itself. It is a simple copy and paste. And so if you are someone that you know would use Desmos a lot, you can always pull this QRD up and bookmark it so that you have it at all times. And I do know that this also works in Canvas. I know this is a Schoolnet session, but just want to let you know that if you are using quizzes in Canvas, these same lines of code work in Canvas to embed a Desmos calculator as well. Okay. Any questions in the chat on that one? My chat disappeared.
No, we're good.
Okay. All right. Number 6.
Yep. Okay. For number 6, I am just going to give you a quick, the directions are there. You can click on them. This is if you are a co-teacher or you share a section with someone, how to, sorry, let me just get out of here and share my screen.
And while she's doing this, just some other examples that have come up. If a teacher is out on maternity leave or sick leave and you are needing to assign assessments to their courses while there's a sub in there or anything like that, this would be where you would want to access their questions.
Okay, please note that this option is not available in the training site. So there's no PII data. I'm just showing you the back end here. Where do I get here? From my home screen over to the right, my little icon, my account. Okay. You don't need your roles and operations. You're going to go right to sections and rosters. And inconspicuously, you are going to click the words click here. Okay. When you click here, you can search by school. Okay. You can search by department. You can search by grade level, or you can just start typing in the person's last name. Okay. I don't know the name of a teacher, so I'm going to just have to do a quick, let me just do a grade 3. Let's do ELA. I'm going to search. And what's going to happen is all these sections are going to come up. If this is the teacher, okay, that I want to share with, I click the button, I hit request, I click request sections. You have to click both, okay? I'm not going to click the last one because I don't want to request it, but then it's a 2-part process and both directions are in the document attached. After the teacher requests access to the section, the administrator on their homepage needs to configure their alerts. Oh, approval alerts right here. Okay. Configure your alerts, new section assignments done. And any section assignment will come up here. The administrator clicks on it. They can approve or they can decline these requests. Okay. And all of those directions are in here in this document with all the screenshots for teachers, and then for administrators approving the sections. I am speeding up the time here, Rebecca, because we're on number 7 and it is 4:15 as usual.
Well, luckily we have already, I was just looking at that. Luckily we have already talked about one of them. So I was
good.
just looking,
Okay.
I was like, oh, good.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. All right. So moving on to number 7, which is the Proctor dashboard, which we already kind of referred to earlier when we were talking about things that you would be missing if you just shared passcodes. Let's see, there we go. So once you have scheduled a test, now I'm in the training site, so it says completed. Yours would not say that. It would say scheduled and then move to in progress once the students had begun. But just so you know, on your testing screen here, if you scroll down, you will see on the test collection where it tells you how many students have started. If you come all the way over, it'll say Proctor Dashboard. And this is a live view of the students taking the test. And I'm actually going to go back here because I won't have any data in there. But once you click Proctor Dashboard, it will show a list of all of the students, and it will turn green or red automatically as they are clicking through the assessment. And it will tell you when they've started it, once they've completed it, what number they're on, and give you those instant results. Because one thing to remember is that during an assessment, your data is immediately available, but sometimes the data takes until the overnight sync for every student and everyone in the test, especially if it was a lot of students taking the test. So if you want an instant snapshot of your data, it's best to use that Proctor dashboard. And that is located on your testing screen once you have scheduled it. If you kind of come down to test collection, you'll see Proctor dashboard right there. And if you do not see Proctor dashboard, then 99.9% of the time it is because it was not assigned to a section. So you want to make sure that you are assigning it to your section of students so that it knows who is taking the test. Okay. All right. Number 8 is also going to be a quick one. Catherine, you want to talk about image errors?
Sure. I was just going to grab one. So in Schoolnet, sometimes if you are creating a question from scratch, we all have the tendency to do it, and that is to copy and paste the image into the problem, the question. But if you copy and paste an image, it will produce an error which will prevent the image from or prevent the test from publishing due to the image being copied and pasted. So what you need to do is, if you're going to use an image, you need to save the image to your device. And this is a great screenshot here of the question content. When you're in the process of editing, just like Rebecca had shown you with the Desmos calculator, this time you're going to use that little picture icon that's outlined in red. When you click on that, it will direct you to choose the file, okay, or to upload the question, all right? So let me just click in a quick question here and share my screen, and I'll show you that. Taking it back, Rebecca, sorry. So here is an item, all right. I'm clicked in the item already from this test. I'm going to click add an image, and all I have images of, I'm sorry, are Schoolnet things. So I'm just going to pick this image here, but you're automatically going to see that I added it. Now, what I want to show you when I add this image is going back to where Rebecca put the Desmos calculator in, this embed code here. When I click on this, okay, here is my screenshot, okay, and here is the web address for it. As long as the image starts with content engine, okay, then it won't, it means that this image has been placed properly within the question. So we always want to make sure that we're not copying and pasting and that we are embedding the image by uploading it using this little icon into the test item. Okay. Any questions with that one?
We didn't have a question with that one, but we did have a question about the roles or the requesting access. Can someone that has a staff role request access to sections, or is it only teachers that have that option?
I'm pretty sure it's just going to be teachers, because what's going to happen is even if you can request access to the section, the staff role doesn't have the ability to view student data or create and schedule a test. So it would be a moot point to request access to the section because your role doesn't have any permissions assigned to it. That's correct with the staff role, right, Rebecca, in North Carolina? Okay. So even if you did request access to the section, you couldn't do anything with it unless your role was a teacher.
And one thing in hindsight that I just thought about with roles, just keep in mind that Schoolnet only pulls from PowerSchool the lead teacher. So even if a teacher is listed as a co-teacher in PowerSchool under a course, Schoolnet only pulls lead teacher or teacher of record. So you will have to do this request sections even if they are listed as a co-teacher in PowerSchool. Just keep that in mind as well.
I'm going to keep the next one going because I have a screen open for it, if you're cool with that.
Okay. Yep. And we actually had already mentioned that. So perfect.
We didn't mention it. I just want to make sure everybody knows where it is. So I'm taking this test. I want to schedule it, finalize. Okay. I'm going to hit schedule. I plot my dates in there. I'm just going to put any dates in there. Sorry, folks. Going quick. This is the part we're talking about. Assigning the test. So this particular test happens to be not a My Classroom test. If it were a My Classroom test, it would just list my sections as a teacher, okay? But because this is a district level test, it gives me courses right here. Either way, if you're comfortable with the courses or the sections that are listed here, you can just click Apply Default Assignment. All right. And this way the test will be assigned. You can see that it is assigned to students. Okay. If for any reason you wanted to change it, you can edit the assignment and then save and publish. Okay. Quick one on that one.
Perfect. Which actually is going to lead us to number 10. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take this back from you. Yes. Okay. Our last item for you to know is Schoolnet tests in Canvas. And Melissa had already asked a great question in the chat. If you embed Desmo's calculators into your Schoolnet questions and deliver the test in Canvas, the Desmos will still show because it is in fact embedded in the question. So I did want to point that out because I thought that was a great question. But a few things to remember if you are using Schoolnet within Canvas, okay? The first thing is that students must log into Schoolnet first before they ever go into NCA Cloud and touch Canvas. You want them to click on Schoolnet first, and they only have to do it once, beginning of the year, or if it's a new student, their first day. As soon as they're into their account, you want them to click on Schoolnet first, because if they click on Canvas first, then get their code from their teacher and try to go into Canvas and take the assessment, it's going to say they are not enrolled because they have not synced to Schoolnet first. So if that happens and you get that error message, it's very simple to fix. They just need to clear their cache from the web browser that they are using, go to their NCA Cloud, click on Schoolnet, let it load up, and then they can exit out and go back to Canvas. So I know a lot of times on the first day of school, a teacher, for homeroom might have the students go in and click on their Canvas so they can look at their rubric for the year, or syllabus or whatever. But it's just a good practice to have them click on Schoolnet first, so then you don't run into any of those errors, okay? Whoops. Second thing is you cannot use Canvas grade passback and sync to Power Teacher Pro from your Schoolnet assessment. You need to choose one or the other. A lot of people will just use Canvas grade passback, which is completely fine, but there will be syncing errors if you check to share it with your Schoolnet or to share with your Power Teacher Pro gradebook from Schoolnet, and you also try to do Canvas grade passback. It will have syncing errors. It doesn't like trying to get the data from two different platforms, so you just want to choose one way for you to share those grades. And one other thing with grade passback, if you are choosing that method of syncing your grades, make sure that you set the assignment out of 100 points so that it will give the appropriate weight. A lot of times, if you have 10 questions, then it might show up in the grade book if they got 8 out of 10 as an 8. But if you are creating the assignment in Canvas, then you can change it to out of 100 points, and then it will actually calculate it to be the correct percentage. So just make sure that you change that assignment out of 100 points, and it will sync correctly to your grade book if you do grade passback. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Did we have any questions on that one, Catherine, before I move on?
We did not. Ooh,
Okay,
4 minutes to
perfect.
spare.
I can't believe it. Y'all are here for a first time event of us finishing on time. Does the secure tester still work in Canvas? So the secure tester is going to be only a Schoolnet platform that has to be installed by your IT department, Melissa. So if you check secure tester and then you try to use Canvas, I don't believe it's going to work because they would have to click on the secure tester icon from their Chromebook or whatever the student device is. Okay. So we talked about just the top 10 things, but of course there are plenty of more things that you can learn about Schoolnet, and we just want you to know that on slide 48, you do have access to the training site. All of our webinars are recorded and posted here on our YouTube page. We also have a beginner's course that you can take through NESIS for CEUs as well. But this DPI Schoolnet resources right here, if I were to click on that, that's going to take you to all of our quick reference documents. And this is where like the Desmos calculators are, and they're all sorted by type. So if you needed to know how to score a Schoolnet assessment, then you could click on this link right here, and it's going to pull up this quick reference document for you that you can then print and keep at your desk or bookmark if you know it's something you're going to refer to often. But it goes step by step through everything in that topic with screenshots. So it's just a really great resource. And if I continue scrolling, all of our training presentations are here as well. So you can find them on our YouTube channel, or you can find them here. So we always want to make sure that you have all the resources that you need at your fingertips. Our monthly webinars, those are posted on your splash page, but just want to give you a preview of what's coming up next. So in October, we actually have a Canvas and Schoolnet merging, and it's going to be an entire hour of using Schoolnet in Canvas. So that'll be our October session. You can register for that one exactly how you registered for this one, as well as all of our future webinars. They're all planned out for the entire year, and we hope to see you at some of those as well. And the last thing is, oh, that's all we talked about. So perfect. All right, so we're actually finishing right on time. So we thank you so much for spending an hour with us today on a Tuesday, right after Labor Day. I know you are all probably exhausted and ready to go home, so we appreciate you being with us.